So how much does it actually cost to own a private jet? Well, first you need to buy one. While a simple jet will set you back $3 to $10 million, a more luxurious model costs around $80 to $90 million. Why such a huge difference? Well, the cheapest jets are basically just mini versions of regular planes. They're usually older and have fewer amenities on board. But if you're willing to splurge to get a real luxury experience, you'll probably feel like you're in a flying first-class hotel room rather than a plane. The most modern jets feature a dedicated bedroom with a comfortable bed, a full-service kitchen, head accommodation, and the newest gadgets. So, you finally made the decision and bought the jet that's just right for you. But now you need to be ready to open your wallet a lot wider, because just the maintenance for one of these things can cost you a fortune. Most aircraft sellers claim the operating cost is justified if you fly for at least 200 hours a year. So, let's see how much it will cost you to do just that. Let's start with the most basic thing. Your jet needs fuel to even get started. The average fuel cost is around $4 per gallon. That means spending around $280,000 per year on the gas alone. For this amount of money, you could buy a small house. Also, remember, you're not going to be flying the jet on your own. Usually, a small jet has 1 to 2 pilots, plus a flight attendant. A good pilot salary can reach $250,000 per year. And depending on the size of your jet, you might need 2 or 3 pilots. Sometimes the crew might also include a private chef to cook you restaurant-class food in the sky, or maybe a personal bartender. All their salaries alone could cost $1 million a year. And if you're planning on staying in a remote location, well, you'll need to pay for the accommodation for the whole crew, or send them back home. But remember the previous point about the cost of gas. You can always find somewhere to park your car. Sadly, it's not the same with a private jet. It just won't fit in your backyard. So you'll need to rent a spacious hangar. That will cost you an extra $70,000 a year. Staying in remote places doesn't come for free either. And just like parking in the street, you'll have to pay for an individual spot. Don't forget that planes also have a tendency to break from time to time, just like cars. But when your automobile has a flat tire, you can fix it for a few bucks. Solving a similar problem with a private jet means spending a few $1,000s. Fixing a cracked windshield can cost between $45,000 and $70,000. Then you need to add insurance, crew training, and other unexpected expenses to all this. In the end, we're looking at a sum of around $1 million per year. And that's only for 200 hours of flying. So, around 3 trips from Los Angeles to New York per month. If you travel more often, more for longer, it'll cost you around $2 million per year. But if you imagine a rock star or a glamorous celebrity when you think of private jets, you're mistaken. Most jets are actually used for business. This is because a private jet can save you precious time at the airport. And as we all know, time is money. Besides that, private jets are a comfortable place to continue doing your work. Private traveling also helps to protect intellectual property and ensures that nobody can steal corporate secrets. There are also more than 15,000 private flights for humanitarian reasons each year. Big corporations donate their jets to take patients to specific hospitals or deliver supplies to places in need. Some airports, especially in small towns, can only accommodate private jets. So these planes can be really important for delivering supplies to areas with emergencies or evacuating people. So, you're still dead set on flying private, but cannot afford to buy a jet. Don't worry, there are still plenty of options available to you. If you have a net worth of around $25 million, you can buy part of a jet. Well, not literally. What would you do with just a cabin or one of the wings? I mean, you can buy time on the plane. The smallest share is 1/16th, and that can cost you anywhere from hundreds of thousands to tens of millions of dollars, depending on the aircraft model. A basic deal will get you 50 flying hours and access to a fleet of planes with a company. If that doesn't work for you, there's another option – jet cards. These basically let you buy private flight time based on your needs. And the more hours you buy, the cheaper they are. Different companies will provide a variety of services and levels of luxury, but around 20 hours will cost you between $100,000 and $200,000. For less frequent travelers, the on-demand charter option might work better. Instead of buying time or partial ownership, you just reserve a private plane for a specific flight. An hour of journey time may cost between $10,000 and $30,000. Yeah, that's not cheap, but it's still much better than $2 million. If that's still too expensive for you, I've got another option – seat sharing. Now, this is pretty simple. A person who's booked a private flight can decide to sell a few seats in their jet. Think of it as a little like an Uber pool for a plane. You'll still have to pay around $20,000 for the membership, plus about $2,000 for an actual seat. An even cheaper option is known as empty legs. This refers to private jets flying back to their base after completing a flight. These flights can typically cost you a few $1,000s, but the cheaper options come to just a few hundred. These often work for people with flexible schedules. If the main passenger changes their plans, then your flight is canceled. The cheapest option on the list are the private aviation scheduled flights. Tickets can be as cheap as $60. Ooh-wee! But here, you won't get the kind of luxurious plane you see in promotional pictures. Usually, these are just smaller versions of the big commercial airliners with a little legroom and a small amount of luggage space. The benefit of flying private in this case is in terms of the time you'll save. These planes depart from smaller airports, so you can arrive 15 minutes before takeoff and leave pretty much as soon as the plane touches the ground. And if you can't afford any of these options, you can at least admire all those private jets out there.